What's up, YouTube? Coming back at you again. Wanted to talk about a few things on my mind. So, a lot of my topics, they come from what I might be, browsing on social media and seeing some different, whether it be memes or reels or, stories or videos. Whatever I do see, I like to, comment on and give my opinion. But before we get started, if you could hit the like button, comment on the video, help me grow the channel, and what else? Subscribe. Absolutely. Almost forgot. Most important thing. Subscribing and liking the video. It helps me with the algorithm. But anyway, what I want to talk about, there was a young lady that was talking about men should date inside of their tax bracket, right? And I found it very interesting to say that, because what if the same rules apply to women, right? What if men said women should only date guys that's in their tax bracket, right? So it's funny to me that a woman can, have that particular mindset of, well, I make money, so if you want to date me, you got to make, be able to give me the life that I already can give myself. Which on the surface makes sense, but what if the same rules applied to men? I mean, what if men said that to women? It's like, look, I make, 200 grand, 300 grand a year. Not only do you have to be, making that type of money, I also need you to be fit, feminine, and, and submissive to me, right? So I need you to bring all the qualities that I want in a woman plus 300K, right? And I need you to contribute to the household. And I think that's the biggest part, because when you are dating a woman, majority of the time, she's wanting a guy to take on the brunt of those responsibilities. Because in essence, it would sound nice to say, oh, well, I make 200-300K, my woman make 200-300K, and we pool our resources and without it being an issue, right? Majority of the time, I could care less what you make, because none of that money's mine. I mean, you could take care of all the bills, take care of the whole responsibility of the household, and a woman still look at you funny if you want her to pay for a vacation. This is the plot of men, even when they do make it, and why, if you are the man and you are taking care of responsibility, you are the prize. I believe if you're able to take care of your responsibilities and take care of the house, take care of your woman, you're the prize. Because what happens? You've won a woman and she's won you, right? And what happens is you're such a rare commodity once you get to a certain level as a man, that you have a lot of women vying for you. And it's not, well, it can be the case. I think men, and vice versa, we say women are the prize, but I think that was more of a yesteryear type of thing, because how often can you be the prize if so many people have won you? And I think that's what women fail to realize. You were the prize when you were unable to be won by many men. There's an old saying, a lock that any key or many keys can open is a bad lock. But a key that can open many locks is a master key. See what I'm saying? And I think that's the biggest thing that women have forgotten when they were the prize, is that a lot of men didn't win them. They weren't conquered by a lot of men. You couldn't walk into a room or walk anywhere and a few guys in there like, oh yeah, I used to be with such and such. You know what I mean? So, but what hasn't changed, right? And this is why I go back and say men are the prize now. What hasn't changed is that even with all the equality, all of the modernization that society has undertaken, women still expect men to be providers and protectors, and obviously they still dating going up to tall men, which the tall men thing, that comes from yesteryear, when it was conducive for a man to be tall in order to protect you. in order for him to be able to fight for you and protect against elements. So if they're still holding on to elements from the past, and yet they have maintained or retained, elements from the past, right? You experience a lot of non-traditional women wanting, traditional men, which I think is crazy to me. I probably said in another video, it's okay to be non-traditional as a woman if you're not expecting tradition in return. And that's what I've experienced, in the dating market. That's definitely prior to me getting married, was a lot of women wanted to be modern but expected the man to be traditional. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't be a boss bae and I can handle everything and do everything on my own. I don't need no man, but still want that man to pay for everything. Or still want that man to be a gentleman, or still want that man to uphold the traditional values that you were taught of. Like, I find it funny that women will say, well, I want this and that and the third from a man, and a man's supposed to be this, a man's supposed to be that, but will be the first ones to complain when a man says, well, I want a woman to be this, I want a woman to be that. The standards that are held for men, women it's okay for women to have all types of standards, but it's never okay for men to have standards. I think it's crazy. I think it's unbelievably crazy. But going to the topic of the video, this particular woman, says, deal with a woman that's on your level. If you can only afford a $500 trip, you should be dating a woman that's okay with that, versus trying to date a woman who wants a $10,000 trip. I think that men don't think that far ahead as far as when it comes to dating. Like, let's say there's the $10,000 trip woman and the $500 trip woman are in the same bar. We're going to have whoever is more visually appealing to us and that is receptive to our game. That's it. Now, if you allow me to stick around you after that initial attraction is set, and you allow me to have something with you after that initial attraction is set, and 3 months, 6 months down the line, you want to start taking fancy trips and everything like that, and my pockets don't align at that point, that's on you. That's not on me. Because I was able to do what I needed to do based off initial attraction, and that was all. I say this because I used to date a young lady, and she was in a different tax bracket than me. And when it first came to dates and everything, there were simple dates. It wasn't a lot going on. I mean, obviously, I knew she had more money than me, and she hung around people that had way more money than me. And the issue came later on when she wanted me to be able to vacation as frequently and as extravagantly as she did. I didn't sign up for that, and I didn't pursue you with the idea of, hey, I want to be on a fun vacation. I pursued you like, look, this is fun. I'm not trying to be your man. You're not trying to be my woman. So if you want extravagant vacations, you probably need to go ahead and date someone else. And I mean, that's something I had to learn. I'm saying that because, at the time, I was attracted to the person, obviously. But when I realized that we were just in two different tax brackets, and she knew that from jump, it's not like I couldn't sustain myself or couldn't, take care of myself. We just weren't making the type of money. I think I was in, let's say early six figures, you know what I mean? And she was in close to, multiple six figures, and was around people who were 7-figure earners. I'm nowhere near that. I can't take a vacation every month, and that's the thing. She wanted me to be able to fly with her at the end of every month, right? And I just couldn't do it. And I think that particular want of hers kind of made me shy away from her a little bit. That and some other things, but that was the main thing. I just realized that, hey, I'm just not in your tax bracket, and but I got what I wanted. So you trying to have more than what's already been established is kind of crazy. And I think that scenario may present itself more because at the end of the day, as a guy, I was already in there like swimwear, right? So trying to tell a guy that, why are you wasting your time? I don't care about wasting her time. I care about, whether you're going to allow me to get what I want from you. That's just, plain simple harsh truth. Are you going to allow me to get what I want from you? And 9 times out of 10, by the time the vacation thing comes up, or you're not my attacker, I've been messing with you for a while. So I've already got what I want, and if you decide that, hey, you want a little bit more monetary, investment from the person you're dating, that's cool. Move on. It's all right. It might sting a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Because I think it is a hit to a man's ego to realize that, hey, you can't afford the woman you're dealing with. But yeah, I'm not going to be upset. And men are definitely not going to stop trying because, I can't afford to take you on dates and all that. Or the type of dates that you want to go. I can take you out, but I can't give you the life you want to get. And I think that women have become a little delusional to think that men are going to date in their tax bracket when we said the same thing to y'all would lose your mind. But anyway, that's just my thoughts. If you like what we're talking about, please hit the like and subscribe button on here. Please comment. Tell me if you've ever experienced that yourself. And other than that, guys, thanks for listening. Have a great day.